Okay.
Refresh your browser if you're hearing an echo. Okay, welcome everybody to the Blab with Bonnie show. Today, my co-host is Denise Wakeman, and I am so excited to have Denise as my co-host because actually I found out about Denise about 3 years ago when through the Blog Squad. So when I was a full-time blogger, and I did that for 2 full years, I was really keyed into a lot of the information that Denise was putting out about blogging because not only did it make perfect sense and was it right on target, it was so actionable. She said things in a way, and her blogs were so understandable. And it was wonderful. It made a lot of sense to me. And I knew that every time I would watch a video or I would watch an interview, she's been interviewed a lot, or if I read any of her blog pieces, I knew there was going to be tons of great information in there that I could then take back to my own blog and benefit from. So Denise, I very much appreciate you being on the show today. I'm very excited to meet you, and welcome. And so now tell me about the Blog Squad and online visibility. And so it seems like you've had an evolution in what you've been doing in the past 3 years.
I've been evolving for many years. Lots and lots of evolutions. The Blog Squad actually, formally, the Blog Squad was from 2005 to 2008. And after that, my partner and I went our separate ways because we had different goals that we wanted to achieve. Then I started, I went off on my own without a business partner. And I still retain the company name, the Blog Squad, but I was really lucky that I kind of discovered and hopped onto blogging in 2004 when it was really kind of on the leading edge of when people were starting to look at blogs as a marketing tool and as a way for small businesses to, start publishing content without having to have a web designer, without having to spend thousands of dollars. So that's always been at the core of my message, that it's a really important piece of your online visibility toolbox. That's your online real estate. That's really where everything needs to start, in my opinion. Regardless of what type of blogging platform you're using, that's where it needs to start. So what I realized probably around in 2008, it started becoming clear, when this social media was starting to sort of take off. I joined Twitter in 2007, Facebook in 2007, and as things have grown, jumped on every single social media platform because that's my job. That's what I look at. That's what I'm doing. And I realized that, or I didn't realize, I've known this a long time because I've been working on the web since way before blogs. I started in 1996, so there were no blogs and social media. But what has, became really clarified for me is that, in order to be found online, you have to be active online. You cannot totally rely on offline marketing anymore because people are using the web to search for the solutions to their problems. And so, as I have said many times over the years, if they can't find you on the web, you don't exist. Because, how many people are actually looking in a phone book anymore?
What's a phone book?
Yeah, exactly. A doorstop, basically, right. I think. So that's been the evolution for me. And a few years ago, around 3 years ago, is when I had an even bigger epiphany while I was traveling in Peru. I was trekking to Machu Picchu. And it was a vacation. It wasn't business, but I thought about business a lot because you can't talk. You're at such high altitude when you're just trying to breathe and put one step in front of the other. But every day I woke up in joy, just in such joy at what I was doing, what I was seeing, what I did for a living. I just felt so grateful and joyful. And I realized that I wanted to feel that every day. But not only that, I realized that I had been on an adventure for my whole life. whether it's traveling, whether it's in business, because business is an enormous adventure, in my opinion, whether it's in relationship, whatever it is, life is a big adventure. And I realized that I've been keeping the adventurous part kind of private and offline, whereas what I was doing every day was an adventure. And that's where I started to pull in all the pieces of my life together, and I introduced adventures in visibility. So it's all part and parcel of the same thing, because visibility isn't just a blog, it isn't just social media, all that. So that's my evolution. Sorry to be so wordy about that, but
no, I love that.
A long history.
No, and I'm glad that you said that, because I was like, okay, well, I still see something about Blog Squad here, but now I'm seeing these other things. So, and let's face it, as entrepreneurs, we should be evolving, right?
Absolutely.
If we stay stagnant, our business more than likely will also stay stagnant, right? So
I totally agree.
And I tell people all the time, because I work with new business owners and people who are, rebranding and starting again. And I always say, your ideal client avatar should be evolving, because you should be evolving, right? You should be learning and changing and growing all the time. And as entrepreneurs, we are constantly changing up what we're doing and adding and taking out and revisiting new ideas, right?
And business changes all the time, especially on the web. I mean, every day there's something new, or something familiar completely changes, or a platform disappears. Then what? So we have to be, in my opinion, we have to be constantly experimenting and trying new things, finding what works for us, finding what works for our clients, and moving forward in that way, and not complaining because things change. That, I will say, is a big pet peeve of mine. These people who complain when things change. Everything changes. That's the only thing you can count on. And
that's true.
So many of the tools that we're using now are free. So of course they're going to change. We're not paying for them unless we're, spending money to advertise, but it's like, get over it, and maybe people don't like to hear that, but embrace it. It's usually for the best that things change.
Exactly. Right. And and look at Blab. Blab is still in beta, right? So when people, oh my goodness, I am all over anybody who complains about anything about Blab, because I think it is just incredible. And the people who are running Blab are absolutely amazing. And I've never seen a group of people be so incredibly attentive with their customers and about their product. I've never seen anything like it. So Blab is still in beta. So lots of, things happen. And on Periscope, just a couple days ago, I mean, I'm telling you, nobody's scope was working the way it was supposed to a couple of days ago. So I don't know if it was global warming. I always blame everything on that, because that's an easy out, right? Because no one really understands it totally, let's face it. So I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was the new moon. I don't know if it was just the day of the year, but nothing was working, right? Well, you know what? The next day it was fine. I mean, and that's the way it is. So,
I was having tech challenges with Skype, on Monday. And it's like nothing worked for me on Monday. And I was teaching, I had client meetings, and it was just a big fiasco all day long. But, that happens. And I think, not freaking out is key to that, and just saying, hey, let's reschedule for tomorrow if it's not working.
Exactly. And I just did a scope about that yesterday that's on replay, about two things that I use every day in my business. And one is grit and the other one is a sense of humor, because things are going to happen, right? There's no predicting, especially on live streaming, right?
Exactly.
And that's one of the reasons I love live streaming, but that's also one of the reasons why people are shying away from it, because your PR person can't be right behind you unless they are very short, right? And throwing you notes every now and again, right? There's no copywriter. There's no hair and makeup is probably on you, right? All of that. The lighting is whatever it is. And so some people are shying away from that because they don't feel 100% comfortable about that live streaming. It is what it is, no editing process.
Right.
So if somebody comes to you, Denise, so Jane Schmo comes to you and Jane Schmo says, I need help with visibility. What is the typical way how do you start that whole process?
Well, the first place I start is doing an assessment of their current reality. So, do they have a presence on the web? What is that presence? Is it a blog? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it LinkedIn? Whatever it is. What are they doing right now? Because we need to know our current reality before we can know what we have to do to boost the results, right? So, typically, most people have some kind of website, but not everybody. Many websites are extremely flawed and not working very well. So we end up having to start usually by tweaking the blog site, I call it, because most people, I recommend that they are blogging to some degree because that's creating the fresh content that will be indexed by the search engines. And that's part of having organic visibility through being found by what you're writing. So frequently, that's where we have to start, is fixing the blog site. Now, I don't fix it because things have become way too technical for me, but I know what works and what doesn't work because I have been, working in the blogging world, for 11 years now. So I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And I will usually make recommendations about how to optimize that blog site so that the client is getting better results. I make sure that there's some kind of way for people to join the client's mailing list. Many people don't have any email list. This is something I started doing in 1997, and it's still interesting to note that a lot of people don't implement that right away, and that's really one of those first things to implement along with your site. So we look at that, and if nobody's signing up to their list, if they have a list and nobody's signing up, why aren't they? What is the problem there? So we start there because those are really the foundational pieces. And then we look at the social networks and what needs to happen to optimize them. So that's really the beginning part of creating the foundation.
Okay, and now Majine had a question. She said, so did Denise say that you must have a blog? Because Majine knows that I say, and literally this is a quote, if you don't want to blog, I give you permission not to blog. I tell people not to blog if they don't write well. And what I say is, dear God, don't blog if you're not a good writer, please. I say, if you don't know anything about SEO and you're not willing to invest in somebody helping you boost your SEO, and you want to rely on that, then don't blog. I blog. I don't blog. I try to blog once a week, but now since live streaming, everything is thrown out the window. So I have to redo everything. But I also don't rely on my SEO. I've never really 100% relied on my SEO. Even when I was a full-time blogger, I knew that I didn't have as strong of SEO as I wanted to, or as I should have, I should say. So that's why she's asking that, because I tell people that they don't have to blog. So now let's talk about that.
Okay.
What if somebody doesn't know whether or not they should be blogging, right? So talk about that. Why should they? Why should they not? Why should everybody?
Okay, well, I generally recommend that people do have some sort of blog, because that is where the content lives on your own real estate. And by creating fresh content on some schedule, whether it's 5 days a week or once a week or twice a month, whatever it is, that is creating the opportunity for more people to find you through the search engines, and SEO, I'm not an SEO expert. There are SEO people in the audience, and so I'm not even going to really go there, other than the fact that SEO also includes or you can combine SEO with your social social search. You also want to establish yourself as an authority in your topic. And I do not recommend relying solely on social networks because they come and go, and you can be shut down, you can lose all of your content, you can lose all of your followers. It's to me, you are investing in your business. You're investing in people finding you and learning who you are and building your credibility and authority by publishing content on your own site. Mm-hmm. So I would say that you should have some sort of blog. I'm not saying you have to blog every day at all. I used to, in the early days, it was, blog 3 times a week if you want to get the search engines to, index you on a consistent basis. But now it's like, find the schedule that works for you and just stick to it, whatever it is, as long as you're doing something. The other thing is that every blog post you write, when you have a strategy, every blog post you write is another door to you. It's another path that people can use to find you. So the more content you have on your site, the more opportunities people have to find you. And that's all related to visibility. So, I also understand that people don't like to write. Or they feel uncomfortable writing. Well, there's more to blogging than writing. There's posting your Blab videos. You can embed a video on a blog post. Why wouldn't you do that? With a couple of sentences to introduce it and to wrap it up. Bullet points of a couple of the key points that were that you focused on in your conversation with your guest or by yourself in your training, whatever. What about images? Images are huge, and that they attract attention. If you are an artist of any type of visual artist, then I would say, share your work on a blog, and that is how people are going to get to know you. Share it there first, publish it there first, and then share it out to the other sites. So, we might disagree on this, but I know I can find a way for people to be able to publish content on their own site. Whether it's writing, speaking, audio, podcasts are really hot, with show notes, you can have it transcribed. There's content that you didn't have to write. So yes, I do.
Exactly. And I'm very glad that you talked about the different options, because when people think about it, when people say blogging, they think writing, right? So I'm very glad that you brought up the different options. Yeah. And so that people know, like Mejean was saying, she prefers to vlog, right? Video blog. Mm-hmm. So, but a lot of people don't even know that's an option, right? And then in terms of transcribing, and that's another way to repurpose, right? Repurpose your content. If you're already doing a blab, or if you're already doing a scope, blog about that exact same stuff, right? So I just talked about this yesterday with Karen Yankovich. So Karen Yankovich will write a blog post, and she, will be detailed, maybe 10 different things in the blog post. And then she will do a blog cast. She calls it, hashtag blogcast. So she will do a scope about one of those 10 topics. And then say, now, if you want to know more about this, I have a more detailed, blog piece, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So that's a phenomenal way. And a lot of people don't think about podcasting as part of that as well. So, and I've noticed that some podcasters will simply, like you said, transcribe everything, or maybe they'll pay someone to transcribe it, but you can get a transcriber on Fiverr, guys. It's not a huge investment here. So they'll transcribe it, and then they've got the same exact information, same stuff, but now in 2 different packages, right?
Absolutely.
Because some people are going to key into the podcast more, some people are going to key into the writing. And I'm really happy that we don't totally disagree, but I was hoping that you would bring in the different, because people think it's all writing, and it's not all writing. Yes. Do you have to write some words? You usually have to write a few words, but it's not necessarily 1,500 words, right? Every time.
Oh my God, no. I've been blogging for 11 years. This month is my 11th anniversary of, actually next week is the 11th anniversary of when I started my first blog. Oh. And I do not consider myself a great writer, but I understand that it's important for keeping my business fresh and top of mind. But I also use lots of different media, and as media has become easier and easier to produce, that's what goes into my blog posts. I was just traveling in Denver last week, and it was business and pleasure, and a lot of it I was meeting with two colleagues, Mia Voss and Lynn Knowlton, and we had a great deal of our adventure in Denver was sponsored by various restaurants and hotels, and in exchange we would write about our experiences and tag them, etc. So what that created was a ton of content, and on Instagram, on Twitter, on Blab, on the blog posts, and that we've been using that in all kinds of different formats to tell our story. And anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. So in my blog post, it's basically I have images that I created on Canva, collages. I embedded an Instagram post. I have a video. I have links to other videos. So there's a lot of ways to tell the story, and so that's what I recommend people do, and publish that story on your own property first.
And it is all about storytelling, right? It is all about storytelling. And so how do you want to tell your story? And there's loads of different ways to do that. And one of the things that I really like that you said, Denise, about that there are so many free tools out there. And I love that, because one of the things when I tell you that I resonated with you and that you write in everyday language that people can understand and it's very actionable, I truly mean that. And if I thought that you were just fine, you wouldn't be sitting there. Let me just put it that way, right? I would just be like, oh yeah, she's a very nice person, it seems, and just kind of leave it like that, right? No.
Well, I hope you think I'm a nice person too.
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely. But one of the things that I love is that you're very practical also. And let's face it, not everybody is. You're very successful with what you do, and people can be successful and also completely impractical. And so that was one of the things that I really liked about you. I love how you said that you use Canva. Canva's free. Yes, you can sign up for Canva for Work, which I have done a 3-part video on. I think it's completely worth the $9 or $10 a month.
Totally worth it. Totally.
Oh my God.
It's changed how I use Canva. Yep. Saves me so much time.
Yes, exactly. Because I'm not a graphic designer. I'm an educator. I don't have that background, but yet Canva can make my completely blank slate abilities in graphics actually look okay. Yeah. And look really, really nice, right? So I love that. And actually I got into Canva because I knew that Guy Kawasaki was hooked into it. And so I'm like, okay, if he's doing it, I'm doing it. I mean, that was like literally that's about how much thought I put into it. And then once I got there, I was like, all right, I'm staying. Yeah. I'm definitely.
They were brilliant in what they created. The folks at Canva, absolutely. It's one of those game-changing tools. Just like blogs were a game changer, I think Blab is a game changer. I think Canva is a game changer. So
yeah, and I put in canva.com, so you can just click on that. And Majine, you don't have to spend the extra money because actually you can do all the same stuff for free that you would do on the paid version. It just is going to take a little bit more time, but you can do it all the same because I've been doing it. And I'm doing the free.
One of the features of Canva at Work, and I have no association with Canva other than that I pay them money, is that the Canva at Work provided the benefit that everyone was, clamoring for since they first started, and that was to be able to change an image that you've created into different size and formats. So we all know that Instagram is, it's not just square anymore, but for a long time it was only square, and Pinterest are long and tall, and Facebook images are one dimension, and Twitter images are another dimension, and banners are yet another dimension. So what Canva at Work allows you to do is create one image and then auto-magically, or whatever it's like magic, what do they call it? Magic sizing.
Yes, yes.
Pick which dimensions you want it switched into so that you can create the same, maintain the same look and feel and have images created for each social platform that you're using. Now, you have to tweak them a little bit depending on what kind of layers you've added to the images, but that really changes the game, because not only can you maintain consistency with your images, which is important for your brand and your visibility, but also within just a couple of minutes, you now have 3 or 5 different shapes that are all sized ideally for the platform you're putting them on. So that right there is worth $9 a month to me.
Exactly. I mean, it's the optimal, when Denise is saying, it's the right size, the perfect size, it's the optimal number of pixels, right? So for those of us who have been doing online stuff for a while, we've been pulling our hair out trying to find the exact perfect size so stuff doesn't look stretched this way or stretched that way, or
exactly.
Because most of us are also not professional photographers. So you should be able to use, you really should be able to use your phone, take a picture, and have it look great. However, you have to know how many pixels. Otherwise, it's going to be looking blurry and stretched out one way or the other.
Right.
And Canva, the very first thing you noticed was that it has the optimal pixel size for everything, for every platform, even Tumblr. And so, for example, for this Blab and for all of my Blab with Bonnie shows, I make a Facebook graphic and I make a Twitter graphic, because the Twitter graphic is a different size than the Facebook graphic.
Right.
The Facebook can be used for Instagram, so I go ahead and I do that, but they do have an Instagram size as well. And the Facebook one can also be utilized for LinkedIn. So, but they have loads. Oh my goodness, so many different things. And it's a really great thing to use. They just send, when you use canva.com and you ask to get their emails, which I would definitely suggest, they send you these incredibly informative emails. They just sent one either yesterday or this morning, and it was about one of the things was email signatures. So I thought, oh, well, I want to look at this. And they had, I don't even know, maybe a dozen different ways, totally different ways to enhance, your email signature. Oh my God. I mean, things I never thought about that, once again, are so easy to do with Canva.
Right. So now we've had a commercial for Canva because we both adore it. And, the visual marketing is so critical at this point in time. Visuals are what capture our attention, that you need to be thinking about how you can add visual content to all of your marketing materials or your content materials. So adding, a large image to your blog posts, creating images for Twitter, making images for Facebook. How can you create the images that make you stand out, tell your story, and capture people's attention? That's why you're doing it, so that you're not getting lost in those news feeds that just go scrolling by so fast that nobody notices.
Right. So it's another way, to be visible, right? And
Yes.
if somebody writes a traditional blog post, do you recommend a certain number of images per blog post? Do you recommend a minimum?
No, I don't. Well, a minimum of one. I would say at least one large scale image. I usually create my blog post images for Twitter, so that when people tweet it, it's the most common, like it fits into the most formats, let's say. It works on Facebook. It's not perfect, but it works on Facebook. It works on Twitter. It works on Google+. So that's what I create, a Twitter size image. And it's like 1,000, it's 500 pixels tall by 1,000 something, 26 or something. 1024 wide. So it's a large image. And if you have a, losing the word I want for the type of blog, where somebody help me out. Manna, help me out. It resizes things automatically. Anyway, if you have that type of blog, which you need to really should magic resize. No, the blog that anyway, you've got a major image that when people share your content, the image goes with you. So responsive. Thank you, Karen, STL.
Oh,
Responsive. I don't know why that one just like went out of my brain. But if you have a responsive website, then it's going to, make sure that the image fits right in the width of your blog post, but it also makes sure that you have something that's easy to share, because you don't want people to share your blog post and have, some little thumbnail. You want a big gigantic picture that's going to jump out at people.
mm-hmm.
So that's the minimum that I would recommend.
Are there too many images for a blog post? Can you have too many?
It depends on what the blog post's about. If it's a tutorial, no, you can't have too many at all if it's demonstrating what you're teaching. If they have no purpose whatsoever, then you might have too many, but make sure that there's a purpose to each image. People do like to see images. It helps them understand what you're talking about if it adequately illustrates what you're trying to say. I did read, I can't remember who said it, but I can't remember what blog. I read so much content. So I apologize to whoever said this, but I read somewhere that somebody said you should have an image for every 300 words. Well, do what you will with that information.
Right.
I don't do that, but I try to make sure that whatever needs illustrating can be illustrated. Whether it's a screenshot, whether it's a quote, whether it's an image, whether it's a video, whatever it is.
And Karen STL said it makes it more scannable when you break up the text with images, and I definitely agree with that. And
you can do that with other ways as well.
True. And when I see a blog post, if it's all text, I tend to not gravitate toward those. And
right.
It might be the most informative, most wonderful piece.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
But right, I'm going to be gravitating towards the ones where the text is broken up. And
right.
and like Robin said, with bullet points too. Bullet points are awesome.
Yeah, bullet points, subheads, indenting. You can use click to tweet to create a clickable tweet. That's like an image too, but it has interactivity with it. Bold, putting stuff in bold, quotations. There's a lot of ways to break up the content, and images are important as well.
Now, is there anything that you tell people not to do because it might hurt their visibility? When people come to you and they're like, help.
I don't think people should be negative too much. No, people don't like negative Nellies. You can be controversial and take a stand for what you believe in, but harassing or name calling or being super negative will drive people away pretty much, especially on social media. People like, happy. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be dishonest about how you're feeling, whatever. I think you can you can take a stand for your beliefs without being mean and nasty and negative, So I think that's the one thing that really, don't call people out in public that, try to solve your issues privately, I think is better, unless you have to resort to something, there's some very extreme cases out there, but, I think most small business owners, entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, consultants, we don't deal with like the really ugly, nasty stuff too much. Occasionally it might happen, but it's more celebrities and big names that get the really ugly stuff happening. So I would just try to stay positive, treat people the way you would want to be treated, that old golden rule.
Right.
So.
And, it's funny to me because, sometimes like, I literally just scratch my head or shake my head because when people get online, they sometimes forget to just be human, right? And yes. I don't really get it. But for some reason they do. They forget their manners. They forget their regular operating, rules. And so a lot of times I'll do scopes and blabs about live streaming etiquette. So for example, I always tell people when they enter a room, say hello, right? If it's me personally, if I see that it's all women, I'll say hello, ladies. Otherwise, I'll say hi, all, something like that. Ask questions, be a good participant, right? Whether you're giving props, thank you, Tiffany, whether you're giving props or hearts, right? Or emojis, ask questions. You can also answer questions, right? Like Robin, at Robin's World, she's provided a lot of really important information. So if you scroll back up, she brought in she posted the video about the magic resizing, and she's posted some other information. So that's being a good participant. And people notice that, guys. You don't have to be in one of the 4 squares for people to notice you, for people to remember you, for you to be visible. You can be very visible as a viewer. And I think
absolutely. I totally agree with that. And, if we want to talk about visibility on Blab, for example, subscribing, attending, participating in the chat, sharing the tweets. I mean, I notice every single person who's tweeting, believe me, and I'm going to go back and thank you because that's what I do, because I see you now. If you're lurking, I don't see you and I can't acknowledge you, but I can acknowledge you. I can thank you. I can follow you when you are participating and being visible to me and to Bonnie and to whoever is hosting the show. If you feel really, confident, you can, hop into an open seat when it opens up, and there's, the extreme visibility, but there's so many ways to really be visible on this platform that it's again why I think it's also a game changer here.
Okay, so we have one question from Kim, and then people can also hop in. Kim has the question, I have the fear of running out of things to blog about, which I know is crazy. No, Kim, it's not crazy at all. Everybody says it. Can you talk about using angles to come up with different content? It's a great question.
Kim, sorry. I got the K. Sorry about that, Kim. Kim. This is a concern among most people who blog. Like, I'm going to run out of things to blog about. And I have to say, I don't think that's possible. You are an expert in your niche. You are an authority in your niche. So what are all the things that happen in that space? What's happening in your industry? What's happening with your clients? What's happening with you? What's the background? What's the backstory? Case studies, Q&A. I bet if you skimmed through your email from clients or customers, and you could write a blog post on every question you get. You can solicit questions. You can do surveys to get information. One of the things that I recommend to my clients, here's a little tip for you, if you feel like you're not sure what to write about, and you've already set up your blog, you know what the categories. So what's the big umbrella, like the big theme of your blog, right? What is the big thing that you're trying to get across? I talk about online marketing. That is so humongous, right? So then what are the, say, 7 to 10 categories within that? You may have already set up categories for your blog. So, in online marketing, there's blogging, there's email newsletters or email marketing, there's Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, etc., social marketing, there's online visibility, there's video marketing. What is it for you? What are like the 10 broad subjects? And then within those subjects, what are 5 things you could talk about on each of those subjects? Now you have 50 blog post topics. How's that? That
is huge. I mean, guys, if you didn't get all that written down, watch the replay, cut directly to what she just said, and write it down. I mean, that's incredible. And I really appreciate Kim asking that question, because everybody has that question. And
absolutely.
Everybody has some time where they sit down and they're like, ugh, right? And they're not 100% sure what to write. A lot of times I have like 8 different books of quotations on my desk. And sometimes I'll just pull open a book and read a couple of quotes, and something will, strike my fancy.
Exactly.
And then I can just write from there. Like Karen said,
Kim.
No, Robin said, watch the news. You can get ideas from watching the news.
Absolutely. What's current events in your industry? I could go on and on about places to look for content, but I think that when you start writing on a regular basis, when you're really, conscious of like, I'm creating content to help people find me and to solve their problems. I mean, that's what it's about, right? It's not solving your problem, it's solving their problems. It's solving the people's problems that you want to attract to you. Well, I've been talking about this for a long time. It's all of a sudden your blog antenna is out and about. And I mean, this is the same for any social marketing content. Your antenna are out and about. I think of things I could blog about all the time. My problem is I don't write them down all the time, and then they're gone. I forget about them. But that's where, using Evernote or recording them on your phone or on sticky notes or whatever the heck you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Robin, everybody. I just wanted to add on to what Denise was saying. So I don't have my mic in front of me. Sorry.
You don't really need it.
Is that better?
Blab is actually set up that you don't technically have to have a mic.
No, I know that, but this is my input. So anyway, I just wanted to add what Denise was saying about, all those ideas that are coming to you. And then she said she didn't write them down. So a lot of people have the problem.
Some I do.
Well, right. But a lot of us have the problem where we do write them down and keep a tickle file of all the stuff. But if you never go back and look at it again, then it's a total waste of your time. And so that's what I wanted to add, is that, yes, write them down or keep Post-it notes or do whatever, but you have to go back and look at those things again in order for it to strike something. And you never know. You might look at the same list 100 times, and on that 100th time, item number 6 on there, you're going to go, oh, I got something that'll be perfect for that. Right. So that's what I wanted to add.
Well, thank you, Robin. Another thing that a lot of people will do is they'll start a draft blog post. They'll just write their idea in the title. And I do that sometimes if I'm in my blogging back desk, back office, whatever, dashboard, I guess is the correct word. But it's like, I should write this. It doesn't really work for this. And I'll just write it. I'll just start a draft with a sentence or whatever my thought is.
I do that too, but my problem is that those drafts just hang out in there. And because I post so much, they either stick at the top or they drop down, and I miss them, and then I end up with all these little drafts and stuff. So for me, that personally doesn't work, but I see how other people do. I think it depends on how often you're blogging. That's going to make a big impact. If you're doing a daily post like I do, then they get lost pretty quickly. So I'm going to jump off and leave the seat open for someone.
Okay, thank you, Robin.
Thanks so much,
jumping
Robin.
in.
All right, Bonnie, coffee soon. We have to do it.
I know. And now Karen, she needs coffee too.
Coffee.
Yes, Karen is here in St. Louis. Denise, are you in St. Louis too?
No, I'm in Los Angeles.
All right. Well, when we get to LA, we'll do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We'll meet for coffee in LA.
Sounds
All
good to
the
me.
St. Louis people will come to LA and we'll all have coffee.
Whoa. Okay, you're on.
Welcome, Donald and LP. I didn't get a chance to welcome you before. Karen says, if I don't write about something when I'm inspired, I lose enthusiasm for it.
Yeah, that can happen too. That can happen. Or things change. I have a lot of ideas. Like I keep a running to do on my calendar. It's just blog ideas because I make that to do follow me around every day. I never check it off. Mm-hmm. And in there, I put my ideas. And sometimes it's like, nope, never going to write about that. Get rid of it. And other times it's like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm ready for that one. So however works for you. I mean, just find the system that works for you. That's the main idea. Because that blog post helps with your visibility, because once you've got that blog post, you can start sharing it all over the place, and that's how you stay on top of people's minds. Top of mind, I should say. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Denise. Hello, Bonnie.
Hi, welcome.
Hello,
Hi,
Mohammed.
Mohammed. Good. Nice to see you.
Steve, you go first.
Oh, thank you, sir. I just had one small piece of wisdom for you all, and then I shall duck away again.
Okay.
And that is, listen, everybody in the room, we are in beta test. You are a first mover. Just get brave, get your face out there, because it will start getting bigger and bigger. You know, we can make the community here.
Absolutely. You got to jump in and, just do it. So thank you, Steve. I totally agree with that. That's the adventure piece for me.
That is. Fading away again.
Bye. Thanks for jumping in.
Thank you so much.
Denise, Bonnie, I've got a question that points back to the topic of discussion. Do you have an effective online visibility? And so the question is related to how do we merge all of these different platforms so that we have a bigger reach and a bigger presence, specifically Facebook pages. For a while, we were able to have organic reach on Facebook with our pages. And for those of us who are developing projects or a business where we're looking to monetize our brand on Facebook pages, it's come to the point where your reach on Facebook has come down to a trickle unless you're paying for Facebook advertising. So here's the question. Had you considered how we can use Blab as a platform to build a bigger presence on our Facebook page, or to get more reach from the pages that we've invested in on Facebook? Just a question.
Blab. So kind of using Blab to build your Facebook reach.
Or is that even a consideration? Should we use Blab as a separate platform, or can we use any of these platforms to help build the organic reach and our presence, our visibility on Facebook? We've developed a space on Facebook, right? And we've invested in that space. But, now, unless you're putting advertising dollars there, your organic reach is small. So
I understand.
Fantastic.
Yep. From my perspective, how I approach it is that I cross promote all my social platforms. So I might post something on LinkedIn that directs people back to my Facebook page.
Okay.
I might do a call to action in a Blab and say, for more great content that I curate on my Facebook page, join me at facebook.com/adventures in visibility. Okay. So, because that's where I'm going to be sharing other content that's related to my content, for example. So I am a strong believer in cross promotion, because there is no way on earth that anybody who's following you on every single platform is ever going to see every single thing you post. Now, some people are avid fans and they will see it, and they're going to be happy they see it, because they love you. But it's a good way to cross promote.
Right.
As far as organic reach, we can't really do a heck of a lot about what the algorithms that Facebook puts out there. But I do believe in growing your Facebook page presence and audience, because that is when you are ready to invest in advertising, you're going to want to have those people. I mean, you're going to be able to want to connect with those people through the advertising. You can't advertise on your personal profile. So isn't putting your Blab sessions, promoting those on your Facebook page, a wonderful way to have your audience engage with you and come to know you personally? Absolutely. I post everything everywhere personally.
Thank you so much, you guys. Rocket session. I'm so happy, Bonnie, that you decided to record this. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are very welcome.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Okay, so I had a thought, and it's again on what Denise
you were on. I was like, that was too short.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to figure out, with Blab, because I love it so much. I'm trying to figure out when I need to step in and step out like this, or when I just need to stay on the screen. And so the reason I decided for today on this particular show, so it's Bonnie's Blab and it's with Denise, and that's the title. And so rather than me staying on the screen, I try to stay off screen. But if I have something really that I'm in my brain, I go like this, I want to jump back on, and that's what I do. So,
Well, I'm telling you right now, you are welcome anytime. I do this every Wednesday. So you always have stuff to add.
The thing is that it's up to the host to decide if they want to bring you on or not. So you can request to be on the Blab, and if the host says, "Oh, this Robin, man, she's always, hijacking my Blabs, and she's always going off topic," and
I try really not hard not to. I have not been.
I don't think you do. I highly doubt that you do that. But
so I wanted to add on to what you were talking about as far as cross promotion and posting on all these different networks, because not all of your followers are in one place, and so we have to do that. And I do that too, and I agree. One of the things that I see people do, and I am guilty of this on occasion, and I try not to, is that we tend to still interact more on a couple of those platforms, but then we have a few that we end up being broadcast only, and it works in a few places, but generally not. And I think that you don't get that reach. So I think it's important that we all, if you're going to share out to your Facebook page, your fan page, Twitter, Blab, LinkedIn, wherever, all these different places, Instagram, that don't just post and run that content, that you need to make sure that you at least spend a few minutes on a regular basis interacting on those individual channels that they may not be your most favorite thing, but it's going to help reach that audience even more and see that you're not just being a broadcaster. And like I said, I am guilty of doing that myself on occasion. And I try to go, "Oh, Robin, don't do that." Because I tell people not to do it all the time. So that's one of the things that I wanted to add on there, that I am big on cross promoting as well. And to mix it up a little bit too, this is another thing that I am guilty of myself. You take the same exact same wording of the content and place it everywhere. It's easy to buffer things out, and it's all the same, copy and paste. But because many of the formats are so different, Facebook, you can be a little wordier on. Twitter, you have to be shorter on. Don't make everything just 140 characters and put it everywhere else, because Twitter's the shortest one. Take the time and write a different sentence when you're cross promoting it in different places, or add a different image, or use the things like Canva. Was that in this? Yeah, we were talking about Canva here, and magic resize those so you get the right shape and stuff. I just started doing that. So you have to, yes, cross promote, but be mindful that you don't want to become that broadcaster person either that we all hate. So that was my points to add on there for everybody. And again, I'm guilty of those things myself. I'm working on it, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Right. So that's what I had to say.
Well, we all sometimes have that, where we're short of time and we want to get something out.
Yep.
But, you're absolutely right. You should at least check in to wherever you're posting to see if people are commenting, sharing, etc., and have that conversation. Not every single person requires acknowledgement, but you can like when they've shared it. You can say thanks for sharing. You can, whatever it is. So I agree with you there. The other thing is that, as you said, every platform has different has a different culture, let's say. So it's also a thing with hashtags, is you don't want to, put 30 hashtags on Instagram, which is cool, and then have all 30 go onto Facebook. Not cool.
And I just started doing that and learned my lesson quickly, because I started using, and Karen and I had a conversation about this. I started using a little app called Tags for Likes. And I edit them, and it's got a bunch of pre-written tags that are very popular and stuff. And what I saw when I started using it is I immediately tripled the amount of likes I got on posts that I was using it on. And I edit it. I don't use all of them that they give you. But if I put it in the original Instagram, then I automatically do send out my Instagram to Twitter and to Facebook. Then they get it all, and I get comments, especially on Facebook. Man, that's a lot of hashtags. All right, people.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Right, and so you're better off going in and either editing your original Instagram after it's gone out to your other streams, or adding it as a comment. I think it's more effective as far as SEO and search kind of things if you edit your original one. But I'm still kind of testing that a little bit. So, all right, I'm jumping off.
Great points. Thank you, Robin.
No, really, that's a really good point. And, like I just put, first of all, I want to thank everybody who's here and everybody who has participated in the chat. I do this every Wednesday, and I'm on Blab a lot besides every Wednesday. And I have never had a chat that has been so incredibly engaged and informative and full. I think I've starred almost everybody's comment. They're incredible. So if you haven't gone through, read through the chat. And the thing with Blab is you can go back up and scroll up and down as much as you need to.
I know. I wanted to be focused on the conversation, so I haven't been participating in the chat because I'm not good at doing that. So
no, and that's okay.
I'll be going in afterwards.
And I go ahead and I do that. I'm very crazy. I mean, I do that for other people's. I go into other. They know. I'll go into their Blabs and do that too, because I know how it is to go into a Blab and not be recognized at all, and I hate that feeling. So I don't want someone to feel like that in mind. So I very much appreciate that. Also, guys, if you haven't yet followed people, you can click straight across the top. There's many different ways to follow here. So you can click straight across the top where all the little profile photos are and just click follow, 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 follow. You won't lose your place in the Blab. You'll still hear everything. Also, you'll see somebody's profile. If you want to follow them on Twitter, click on the little bird. It'll open up a new window. Once again, you won't lose your place on the Blab. And so there's 21 people in here right now. And Denise, there's been 86 through the room. So when you watch the replay and all that, if you click on the 86, then you could see all of those people as well. Yep. So that is also very helpful. Denise, is there, in talking about visibility, is there any social media platform that as of today, right now, if somebody came to you, that you would say, you know what, don't even bother with that?
That would depend on their, excuse me, that would depend on their business and their audience. So, that's a very individual thing. If they're not doing any business to business, let's say, then I might say, I don't worry about LinkedIn right now. But, it's really gonna depend. A lot of people don't like Instagram. It's like they don't understand it, they don't get it, and it's like, that's cool. Whatever, don't use it right now. Some people, like I was working with a client, and he just was so anti all social media, and I was like, dude. I didn't really say it that way, but that's what I was thinking. Dude, you got to do something, and he's a photographer. So I talked to him about Instagram, using that as an example again, and he's like, I could do that one. I'm not going to go on Facebook, and I'm not going to go on Twitter. I'm not going to do anything. And you know what? That was the right solution for him, because he's a world-renowned photographer, and that's a great place for photography. So,
right.
It's so personal that I'm not going to say no one should be on this,
So now let me ask a question that has come up in the past week a couple of different times in different ways. Does everybody have to be on Facebook?
Oh boy.
Now you knew that was going to come up at some point.
Not everybody wants to be on Facebook, that's for sure. I have a couple people who refuse, but I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook personally. But there are over 1 billion people using Facebook around the world. It's the largest social network. There's a very good chance that some part of your niche audience is on Facebook. And whether you like it or not, that's one of the best ways to reach people. I have found that more and more of my colleagues are moving back over to Facebook. More of my clients are moving back over to Facebook. I'm using it more. I'm on Facebook every day. And there was a time when I was like, I'm getting off of Facebook. I'm never going to use Facebook again. But that would be foolish of me. So I think that there's a good case for being on Facebook for just about everyone.
And that's really good to know. That is really good information to know. And Mandy said it's kind of like going to the dentist, which I think is the most perfect analogy.
Well, I love my dentist, and I don't have a problem with going to dentists. So, but I get it. I understand totally. But yeah, it's
Now,
not painful, but
what if people know their ideal client avatar, but they don't know where they're hanging out?
Well, you have to start doing some research. So, and generally, you're going to know some of those people who are like that avatar and start asking them. I always go for the low-hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. Ask that person in real life, where do you spend the most time online? Maybe it's a private, maybe it's, very niche specific. Facebook, you better be on Facebook. If it's on Twitter, a lot of people, I hate Twitter, I don't get it, whatever. But, maybe that's where their people are hanging out. Then you got to be there too. It's not about what you like. So, start by asking the people you already know. Mm-hmm. That's the best place. Then you can start, going into those places and looking, or do searches too. What are some of the characteristics of that avatar? So go on to LinkedIn and do a search, using those keywords. And does anybody come up? If not, well, that's probably not your platform.
And Mandy said that Facebook owns Instagram.
Yes.
Does Facebook own? Okay, so I didn't realize that. So
they
Facebook
bought it
owns
a couple
Instagram,
years ago.
So
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is good to know. And so what you said is hugely important, because a lot of people don't do their research. Mm-hmm. They'll just try a social media platform because of whatever reason, right? And so even though they might be very clear on who their ideal client is, they might be barking up the wrong tree. Right. Their ideal client's not on there at all. So It's very important to be mindful of the demographics of each platform.
And, they're also I think that what often happens is that people think, well, I like this social media platform, so this is where I'm going to hang out. And so, of course, my clients are there. Well, that's not necessarily true. So, but, there's different reasons for being on different platforms. For example, I really love Google Plus. I've been, I was an early adopter. I was doing my show Adventures in Disability on Google Hangouts for over 2 years, which I've just moved them to Blab because it's easier. But what I found is that I didn't have my ideal client wasn't necessarily there, but my peers and colleagues, the people I like to learn from, because there's two different kinds of people. I was having this conversation with somebody recently. There's two different kinds of people that you want to be connected with. One is, your peers and colleagues, so because you want to keep learning and evolving and sharing and collaborating and whatever joint ventures, whatever it is that you do with your colleagues. And then there's the people who you serve. And sometimes there's an overlap there. I mean, I have certainly, invested in services and products from my colleagues and vice versa. But, you also want to be continually growing. And I think that finding the platform where you can do that as well helps. And for me, that is on Google Plus. I have more of that going on, whereas I have more client stuff going on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. So
that's great to know, because a lot of people say don't bother with Google Plus.
Okay, that's fine. Don't. Google Plus is owned by Google. They're the biggest search engine on the planet. Why wouldn't you at least be posting your content there and following people? I mean, I find so much amazing content. I have amazing discussions with people there. Now, it might not be for you. That's cool, but fine.
Right. And like Karen says, I think everyone has to post on G+. You don't have to interact there, but at least post there. Right. I mean, why not? My thing is, why not? Right? Yeah. How long does it take to throw something up there?
Why wouldn't you have a profile? It's indexed. You can put links. You can put your offers. You can put your freebies.
Right. You can put a lot of words, a nice big picture.
Yeah. Yeah, but I understand people. People don't want to be bothered. You know what? No one on the, this is not directed at anybody who's watching this, but there are lots of very lazy people out there. They want things to happen with very little effort, and that will never happen. If you want your business to be successful, if you want your visibility to grow, and growing your visibility grows your audience, growing your audience grows your business, then you have to do the work. I'm sorry, hate to say that, but it's true. You have to do the work. I've been doing this work for 19 years. People say, "Oh, but you got this and that, and you've got all these big audiences." Like, yeah, I've been working on it for a really long time, and I work on it every single day. I work on it every single day.
Yeah.
I don't rest on anything, and I'm constantly experimenting, and I make it fun and an adventure. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I move on. It's okay. So that is what I wish for all of you as well. It takes work to have a business.
Denise, that is probably the best thing that anybody could say. That, I mean, you have said so many best things today. I can't even say that one was the best, but that one was pretty darn good. And most people don't realize that, right?
Yeah, they don't want to.
It's easy for Denise.
Yeah,
Denise
exactly.
is a person just like you are. Denise
I started
has the same
with
24
0
hours you do. Exactly. That's exactly right.
And I've started businesses from scratch 3 times, from 0 3 times.
Right. Exactly. Right. And I mean, I appreciate you saying that a lot of people are lazy, because that's the God's honest truth. We don't like to think of ourselves that way, but we're all that way, at least sometimes. And it's hugely important.
I can be lazy.
It's hugely important for people to hear that you work on this every day. You don't just slack off and go, "Oh, I have a big following."
No.
Right? No. You're like, "I have a big following. Thank God. That's because of all my hard work. Now let's grow it some more."
And I adore, the people that that come into my world. I mean, there are many people in my world following that I don't know yet. But I also know virtually hundreds and hundreds of people. And when I have that opportunity to have that connection, whether it's a like, a comment, heart, a prop, or whatever, I'm very happy to do that. I'm grateful. I don't take it for granted that people just following me because, I have to be offering something, and that's what you all need to be doing too.
Exactly. And on that note, I want to thank you so much for being my co-host today. I absolutely loved it. I'm so happy to have met you, and
likewise.
And what is so nice, Denise, is you're exactly like I thought you were going to be. You're exactly, but that's hugely important. That means that your message is consistent, right? You're the same person in a blog post that you are on Blab, that you are in any other interview or on a YouTube video or whatever.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, and I look forward to getting to know you more. And thank you so much for being on Blab with Bonnie. And guys, if you don't normally watch replays, watch this one, because I guarantee you, if you haven't been taking notes like a crazy maniac, you're gonna want to watch the replay and get those notes written down, because this was incredibly jam-packed, full of really, really good information.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to be on your show, Bonnie. I had a great time. This is a great conversation and lots of I can't wait to go back through the comments and check out what everybody was saying, because I couldn't follow everything at the same time, as I said.
Now, do you want to type in the chat? Like, if people want to get in touch with you and they want some help with their own visibility, can you type that in there?
Yes. So my website is denisewakeman.com. And that's where you'll find, let me make sure I type that properly. Yes. That's where you'll find everything. I also, I'll give a quick plug here. I have what's become my signature program, which is called the Online Visibility Challenge. And it's kicking, we just wrapped up 6 challenges this year, and I'm kicking it off again in early November for 2016. So if you want information about that, you can get it at denisewakeman.com. You can get on the early bird list, because that's the best list to be on. I'm just sorry, I'm losing things. It's DeniseWakeman.com/earlybird, EARLYBR. And that is the best place to get information about the challenge. It's been a fantastic experience. Speaking for myself as the host and teacher and guide, but also that is what I am. 404
It's
area.
not broken. You just put com twice. That's all.
Oh, I mistyped it. It's
yeah. You want to type it again?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. See, that's the problem. Is like all these things are. I can't.
But that's
see.
wonderful about the early bird about getting on the challenge early, and that is super helpful. And somebody had asked about the challenge before, so I'm glad that you put that.
The early bird gives you first notice and the best possible investment. It's always the lowest investment available. So, that'll be starting up again in November, and it's just been a fabulous experience. So, thank you for letting me talk about it, blab about it.
Absolutely, blab about it, right. You can come blab with me anytime, Denise. I'm always here.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, and thanks for watching Blab with Bonnie. Thanks a lot.
So much.
Have a great day, guys.